Can you hear yourself in your headphones?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So, hi.
Alright.
Hi. Um, you made it all the way through the New Testament.
Mhm.
What was the main thing that you got out of it?
Mm,
Yeah, I kind of like them all.
there's a lot. Seems like the main thing is to like love your neighbor,
Yeah.
which is pretty simple, but hard to do.
I think one of the biggest things that I got out of it was not causing someone to misstep and that you should study it yourself. Like, I don't know. I was already going to say something about the Israel thing, but like not misleading somebody. And then like the was it Hebrews chapter 5 that I sent to you about the like you're of the age that you should be teaching, but now you're like still in need of milk.
Mhm.
And I do think the Old Testament is important. I don't think it's any less important unless you're looking at like, okay, well, if you're supposed to be like a Christian is what? Like to you, what does it mean to be Christian?
Um, to regard Jesus as our savior and accept that he died and was resurrected. I feel like that's kind of the distinction between all the other ones in Christianity.
Yeah. And I think also that it's like I mean, obviously he came to die for everyone's sins. You know, he says there's. I heard a conversation with somebody where they were saying like, um, Jesus says he's like, I didn't come to unite everybody, but to turn brother against brother, and like, you know, brother, son against father, and all that stuff. But in the context of it, it's not just him coming to cause division. He's causing the division because people will either believe in him or not believe in him. And then also later on, he says, I did not come to destroy mankind, but to save it, and that's all mankind. So I think being a Christian is yes, like you said, you would believe that he died for our sins and was resurrected, and then you confess that with your mouth, Romans 10:9, and you try to live as close to or as like Christ as he did as possible. I think he was definitely like someone we're supposed to base our lives
Yeah.
after. And I think if you do that, if everybody did that, everybody would get along so
Yeah.
much better. You wouldn't be
If you
online like,
even if we all just tried and we still failed like half the time,
yeah,
it would be better. It would be better than what we're living in now.
yeah, not being super judgmental over people, and
Because the world kind of rewards the opposite behavior. I feel like, you know what I mean?
oh yeah, yeah, you get tested more whenever you're trying to live the right way. Pretty funny, but yeah, one of the things that stood out to me the most because I was really getting into, I was like, I forget what I was listening to, but they were talking about Christian Zionism, complaining about it, and
And that's like Christians who believe that Israel's the Holy Land and that we should like protect it at whatever cost. I've always been concerned
uh,
confused with what like Zionism is.
so well, I don't know if I'm actually correct on this, but what I gathered from it is that that Israel should be a home for the Jewish people.
God's chosen people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't know. In the New Testament, like I said, Jesus said, I did not come to destroy the earth, but or to destroy man, but to save all mankind." So I'm like, after him, it's like he's kind of including everybody, and then he says that I'm pretty sure he says, I will give Israel back to my chosen people later on, which I think kind of was broadened. But like like I said earlier, I don't think that you can't dismiss the Old Testament just because the New Testament, like, times have changed. Like, there are some things you could take out of it and not, but you have to have discernment for yourself to make right and wrong choices. So, like, should we support Israel? Sure. Should we enable them, or not them, but their leader, to be quick to shed blood, which also says in the New Testament that God hates? Like, if you're God will bless those who bless Israel. If you're going to be blessed by blessing Israel, I'm sure you can probably be punished for enabling
Is
somebody to
that brings up the question: is enabling them blessing Israel? Is that good for Israel? You know?
enabling them to be quick to bloodshed. Like, I think it should be like, Jesus was never lashing out to anybody. The only time he got mad was when they turned his father's house into a den of thieves, and then he preemptively, or what would you say? Yeah, whatever. He lashes or puts together a whip. He goes in there like, I'm gonna whip some people. He knew before he was going in there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't. I hear arguments that they're like, well, we got to get rid of these people because they're going to come after us. Like, Jesus was all about defending himself. Or not. I don't think Jesus was against defending yourself, but he definitely wasn't for lashing out against people.
No.
Again, like, I came to save all mankind. So
Which it
there's
does seem like, from our perspective, that they've gone past the point of defending themselves to, like, lashing out.
yeah,
To, like, I want to eradicate this race of people. It almost seems like that now. Which they probably wouldn't say that, but
yeah. I don't know, and like, you can't like generalize with everybody and say that all Jews only believe in the Quran or whatever. Sure that there's I I don't know exactly how that works. I would like to study that a little bit more, but I'm pretty sure they just believe in the Quran, which is like the Old Testament. That's what they go for. Like, most of them don't believe that there are Christian Jews, but most of them don't believe that Jesus was the Savior. So yeah,
I
that's
think the
like a
Quran's the one that Muslims study.
yeah. But what I'm saying is if they don't believe that Jesus was the true Savior, they're not going to try to reach out if that's what they're claiming their religion is, as this government, that they're not going to reach out and be like, hey, and try to like be nice to people, or come to some kind of agreement with them. They're just going to be like, Old Testament, we need to wipe them off the face of the earth. That's kind of how they would see
Yeah.
things and not have any wrong conviction, no discernment there.
Yeah.
But as far as Christian Zionism goes, that would be my biggest question. Like, should we support Israel? Sure. How, like, it have anybody who says that they support and want to bless Israel actually tried to like bless them in any way, or send them food, or like something to kind of try to help them out, or maybe even just talking to them about their point of views on things, instead of just like I said, enabling them to make bad decisions as far
Yeah.
as some people are concerned. Like, I don't think they should be lashing out against other people. Like, that's just how you. It's like the Hatfields and McCoy thing. Like, you start crap with somebody, and then yes, their kids are going to grow up mad because they grew up in a place where their city that they were born in was completely demolished. So,
Yeah.
but it is what it is. It's going to go the way it's going to go. If you like, I don't know how many times you went through Revelation, but that's not even in Revelation. Jesus says, um, nation will war against nation. It's going to happen, and all nations will rise up against Israel. Or a lot. I don't know if it said all, but it said a lot of nations will rise up against Israel. Jesus says that, and then he's going to come back and save Israel. But I think Netanyahu's kind of making it easy for other nations to rise up against him.
Yeah.
And then also, I don't know if Iran really has the ability to reach over to us, just listening to
I hope not.
just listening to like I listen to like Tucker Carlson and Sean Ryan, like guys that have actually been in the military, not just some figurehead that's paid for by a pharmaceutical company on TV. And doesn't seem like they think that's like they're like, what are they going to do when they get as soon as they get a missile? They're going to what, launch it into like Florida, and then what? They're going to be demolished by the United States.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be. I mean, I'm sure you could say they might give it to a terrorist organization, and then that way they're not liable for it, and then come attack. But again,
Well, from our past, that doesn't save them.
yeah,
You know, I think that's kind of happened before. That's kind of what like 9/11 was, right? I mean, they didn't know like exactly who did it, but we still.
it's the same uh, idea. This time it's WMDs, so like, or the idea of WMDs.
You
They're like, they might build it one day, so we're gonna go ahead and put them on their knees. I don't know everything that they know, just from my own personal viewpoint, I guess you could say.
yeah,
Seems like, again, like things are gonna go out. I'm not saying we are in the time of revelations, but like when you do get there, things are gonna pan out the way, if you believe in the Bible, things are gonna pan out the way that it says they will. And then I thought it was kind of funny because I was listening to this clip of this, that story about the general who was like talking to. It's like two high up ranking guys were talking to each other, and one of them was like talking about going to war with Iraq or one of those countries over there, and he's like, I'm not supposed to tell you this, so don't tell anybody or whatever. But then he comes back and he's like, hey, are we still going to war with them? And he's like, actually, it's worse than that. We're going to go to war with these 7 countries. And in the Book of Revelation, it says there's a like one of the signs is it's like five kings have fallen, one is and one has not yet come. So I'm like, I think we've already knocked off like 5 places, and then I mean, what are the next 2? Maybe it's 6 because I think Iran is the last country that they wanted to go to war with out of the list of 7, but there's no way to know if that's actually that these 7 countries are what the Book of Revelation is talking about, as far
yeah.
as 5 have fallen, one is, and one has not yet come. But if you pay attention to everything, like even with the AI stuff, it does seem like I personally think, and I know Pastor Darren said that he thinks that the Antichrist is going to be a physical body, and it will because like a robot's not going to burn in hell for eternity. But I don't even know if he would have to have a physical body, even though we are to the point where they're going to be able to grow people without people. Like, I mean, you still need some of the ingredients to make them, obviously,
Yeah.
but they can just clone people or make people now. Like they already did it with an animal. So they're probably doing it with people already too. But if Satan likes to, it seems like Satan likes to copy God a lot. So what better way for him to come to the earth by a virgin birth than by that? And it's like a gross knockoff of what God
Yeah.
did. It's kind of funny, but I don't know. AI to me just seems like it could be used for something awesome, but it's ran by man, so
Well, it seems like what it's being used for is to intensify this. You know, it's like they're using it to make it even more addictive, so we can hold our attention and sell more ads. You know, it seems like that's kind of the main focus of it. And they're like, they always talk about, oh, yeah, we can use AI for medicine and this and that. And it's like, well, where is that? We're not seeing that. They're just using it to, like, make every internet thing more, like, even more palatable to us. You
yeah.
know, make us want it even more. make more conversation. Like I think this is, like I was saying earlier, I think this is going to be the end of us. It's just like
Just
I
cell
know
phones,
I know it's
technology altogether.
yeah, it's well, it's just the way it has gone. It's just it's taking our attention so much that I'm sure there's people that spend 8-10 hours a day on their phone. If you're doing that, you can't do anything else.
Yeah.
You're awake for 16, and like, 6 of those you're spending like doing the bare essentials to keep yourself alive, and then the other 10 you're just like, it's like what we're all just going to become like so easily manipulated, and we're not going to do anything. And that's kind of what's happening right now with all the stuff that's going on in the government. We're all like, oh my gosh, everyone's like a bunch of pedophiles, and we're all just like, we just like talk about it, but no one's doing anything.
Well, the Dow's up.
Hmm?
The stocks are doing
Yeah,
great, man. I wouldn't worry about that. Everybody's making money. We don't need to worry about pedophiles.
but it's crazy.
And it's the thing to me with the stocks being up. I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, inflation is up. Does that have any part to play
It
in it? Like,
definitely
look at
does.
gold is now
It
gone up.
definitely
It
does.
like doubled or tripled in 2 or 3 years, which is kind of scary. Like, um, yeah, some people are investing in things that actually have physical value because they don't think that the dollar has any value anymore. Will it have more value when we get more of our own fuel and energy? Like, maybe you could base it off of energy, but they ought to be able to make energy free by now. But they're not going to. It's not going to happen. Somebody might. You could have some super wealthy guy who creates something who's like, you buy this thing this one time and it lasts however many years and you just have free energy for that amount of time. But that's probably never going to happen.
And I don't know if that's even better. I think we got to like our peak in like, you know, 60s to the 80s of like what
That might
capitalism,
closer to your.
how good capitalism can be, and now we're seeing all like the negative effects of it, and it's just like there's nothing you can really do. Like, what can you do now? It's like it's like the best companies have won out and have outcompeted everyone else, and now are so big that no one can, like, you can't, like, what are you gonna make a new phone compete with Apple? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's just like impossible. It's like, are you gonna open up a little grocery store next to Walmart and actually compete with Walmart? Not really. It's like you might, some people like me and you would be like, oh yeah, the meat's better there. You know, we get fresher produce there, but it's like we're still gonna go to Walmart because it's cheaper.
I
Like
don't
when
go.
it comes down to the like nut cutting of it, we're like, it's kind of about how much money we're spending because we need the money.
Yeah. Yeah, we mostly shop at HEB unless I need something like some oddball thing,
Yeah.
like something for like
Which is
fishing or
like, how
camping,
is
or
that?
even though I don't really do that stuff.
It's
It's just an example.
how much different is that? A little bit. It's a little bit smaller of a company, but it's still a pretty gigantic company.
HEB.
I just think everything was better when it was like smaller. Like things were smaller. You talk to old people, and they're like, yeah, there was like the guy who brought bread to the house and a milkman, and you'd go buy produce and go to the butcher, and it's like all those people had good middle class jobs like me and you, and then now it's just like most of the people, it seems like, work at a place like a Walmart or an Amazon doing like the grunt work of it, and
Yeah.
they're getting like nothing. You know, they're not. It's not like a survivable wage, and this AI stuff is probably just gonna make all that worse. And then it's like I can see now the argument that like Joe Rogan always had, years ago, how they're gonna get us on like a universal basic income, and it's like we're all just gonna be alive, like looking at our phone, and just get just enough money to consume so these big companies can still be so profitable. But I don't know. It is kind of. I try and not even like watch the news. It sounds like you're paying pretty close attention to stuff, but the most I see, I walked into a customer's house yesterday, and they had it on Fox News, and I was like,
Yeah.
they were talking about Iran and stuff, and I was like, I see that's escalated a bit since the last time I've looked at stuff. I was like,
Yeah, it doesn't directly affect us, but from what I gather, if we like our arsenal or whatever, our stockpile of weapons, because we've donated so much to um, Israel and to was that
Ukraine.
Ukraine? Well, which is probably why also he just Trump just raised the budget for the military to like $1 trillion or something like that. 'Cause he's probably like need to restock
Yeah.
because after also I don't know how he's going to handle this thing in Iran. Are they going to actually put boots on the ground? Or are they just going to bomb strategic areas and get out?
Well, it seems that's what he likes to do,
Yeah.
which I don't blame him. That would be kind of cool, to have that kind of power and be like what they did to that Maduro guy in Venezuela or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that that's the right choice to make, but it is pretty cool. Our military is pretty freaking powerful. But you could just with my understanding, they knocked the power out and snuck in and took this guy and we're gone, before anyone even knew, which is insane.
Yeah, they use. Trump said they use this thing called the discombobulator. We use the discombobulator. So, okay, so actually, there's this direct. I don't know if it's direct energy weapons, if that's the correct terminology for it, but they have weapons where they can microwave you with a gun and fill you full of what's that waste that nuclear
Radiation.
They can hit you with radiation or there's a guy on the latest episode of Sean Ryan. I had to stop listening to it because him telling his story about while he was overseas, he's in the CIA, but he was also military for a long time, and he was in a room somewhere overseas, and he woke up in the middle of the night. He felt really heavy. He felt like he was sinking into his bed. Like he said, he felt like he was under a pile of people, and then he heard this crazy noise in his head, not in his ears. It was he said he felt it in the middle of his head, and it was like a electrical deep tone into a high pitched ringing noise, and then there was a pop at the end of it, and then he afterwards he's real disoriented. He has a third grade reading level now, and when he was riding in the car, he couldn't read the license plate of the vehicle right in front of him, and he's all jacked up from this I'm assuming it's probably some kind of direct energy weapon, and also they didn't do anything to sorry, I need to specify the CIA didn't do anything to help him out because it's called Savannah syndrome, and there's some kind of there's some paperwork in line where you're supposed to help people out with that specifically with this process, and then they were like, no, we can't do that with you because the next person that walks by a microwave and starts claiming that his knee hurts is we're gonna have to give him a bunch of money, and it's just gonna be a downward spiral. So we're just not gonna help you out. Essentially, is what they said.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't have the money to help this one dude out. You need to tell everybody. So it's kind of it's gonna be more like the Streisand effect. You don't help out this one guy, he's not gonna go tell everybody I got messed up and then they paid for everything. He's not gonna go run into every little person. I'm sure if he sees someone that's a friend of his, but you're going to get way more attention from not helping him out than from helping him out.
Yeah.
In a negative way. So, that's so stupid. Like he said, Sean asked the guy, who was like, do you feel like the government program has its people in, cares more about its people than the goals? And he's like, no, absolutely not. And he's like, do you think any government program does? I was like, no. And he was like, yeah, I was kind of leaning the same way on that. They don't really care about you, just whatever their initiative is, whatever the goal is, just get that. And everybody else is
Which,
just
to be
cannon
fair,
fodder.
It kind of needs to be that way. Or it's how
to
do you
some
lead?
extent, but you
Because
should still
if
take
it's
care
all
of them.
just about the individual, it's you'd never get anywhere. You kind of have to think in a more altruistic way, think about the majority.
Well, yeah, but
and what's best for the majority, which is hard. I would be terrible at it.
That's fine, but have them sign stuff up front that says, "Hey, when you sign over, if anything happens to you, that's on you. We're not taking care of you. Don't tell them you're going to take care of them
Right.
and then not take care of them." Like, not cool.
Nope, not
Not
cool.
cool, man. But the AI thing creeps me out the most because I'm like, it would be cool to have a robot that I could buy as a tool and just have it at the shop all day and just kind of check in on it. I mean, it could do stuff for me all day long and then go charge itself. At the same time, when Elon was talking about how he's like, we'll have robots eventually that can come to your house and perform surgeries. And I'm like, oh, so they can already cut into people. Like, that's already your plan. Like, so they can kill people. That's the plan up front. Like, I don't like that. I don't want robots to do it. I
I
know, yeah,
just
they have some like robot surgeries where it's like
you go in
an
and
arm
yeah,
thing and it's like managed by somebody, but not just some robot that shows up to your house at 6:30 after work and it's like, all right, time for your surgery.
time for your heart valve replacement, pig or cow.
Yeah. Beef or pork.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I'm sure there'd be benefits, but there'd be costs too. And it's like, does it outweigh? Because like the reading stuff has really opened my mind up to that. Like, there's a lot of like dystopian novels that have predicted pretty accurately what was going to happen. And it's like, what happens is the more they try and, from the book's perspective, I guess, who knows in real life how that actually works out, but the more they try and make things easier and more comfortable for humanity, it's like you start to lose some of the humanity.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not what we want.
I don't think it's going to turn out good because, or you look at it like this, like God creates man, like perfect being creates non-perfect people. And we're not perfect because we have free will. Like you can choose to do this or that. Some people think, like, believe in determinism. I don't think that's the case. I think the world and the universe that we live in is pretty much chaos that we live in. Like anything that can happen will happen kind of idea. But when you have a perfect being that creates non-perfect things, and then those non-perfect things try to create their own, like, you know, man tries to create AI
That
in his
unperfect
own
thing.
in his own image, and it has all of our knowledge with none of our experience. So like, where does the
Or
wisdom come
emotions,
from?
or
Yeah,
you know all that stuff plays into every decision you make.
I think eventually AI will, even if we didn't do anything with it and just let it run off on its own, I think eventually it would try to embody itself into something for experience to gain like actual knowledge on stuff. So I think like if like knowledge is power, right? So what's the best way to gain knowledge? Through experience, not just by reading the interpretations of these things that made you that are dumb, that have recall about as good as I do. Can't remember
Yeah.
nobody's name. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's hard to even imagine what kind of information they do have now, especially like on each person, because there's some people that use it a lot. Like, I've used it very rarely. I've like just played around with it
Yeah,
and got
Jamie.
like kind of amazed by it. But I can guarantee you how lonely our country is. I can guarantee you there's people that just talk
To
to it.
chat all day
Yeah,
long. Yeah.
which is kind of horrifying to think about. You know, and it's like, that's just going to get worse and worse. People are going to get lonelier and lonelier because we're like dividing ourselves from humanity by, like I said, being on our phone for like 8 hours a day. It's like you're not with people at that point. People become like
An
this.
inconvenience.
Well, it's just like a thing on the internet. Like, I think we all still like know that that's a real person, you know, but you don't see the body language. You don't feel them. It's really hard to be mean to people in person. Like, it's difficult to do. Some people can do it, but I even notice it though when you're like out and about. Like, It's weird to like say hi to people compared to 10 years ago. You don't like chit chat in line as much. Like if you do chit chat in line with someone, it's either someone you kind of know, or it's um, like people from our parents' generation. Maybe will like talk to you about your kids, be like, "Oh, your kid's so cute," How old is she? Whatever, But there's not much like, "Hey man, how's it going?" Like just weird and like I'm bored. Let's interact, so I can get some of your information into my brain. That's kind of what like having a conversation is,
I think, yeah, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people are like that. I'm personally not like that, and it annoys my wife a lot because I am so like I have an easy time just talking to anybody, or like just picking up a conversation with some random person. And so like we'll be out together, and then I'll just start talking to random people.
You know,
But
people want that though.
yeah,
Like you can tell when you do start a conversation, it's like people want that. We all need that. It's like a basic human need, like water and shelter and food. We need like companionship. And
yeah,
it's like I notice my life starts to like go downhill the more I seclude myself. You know, it's like you get busy where you're just working and going home and cooking and cleaning and doing all this stuff, and it's like we need to like go out and talk to people.
yeah,
I know I do, but I think there's a lot of people that maybe don't know that they do. And they don't see that, and they're like, "Why am I depressed? Why is life so hard? Like, what's going on?"
yeah,
Because think if you didn't have a family, like it forces you to do it. And there's a lot of men our age that they're just sitting at home playing video games.
yeah. I did it for a long time.
That's like what they're doing.
I did it for years. It's that was yeah. Then that was when I was going out to the bar almost every night,
Right. You were still
looking for companionship or looking for people to
right.
talk
And
to.
I don't think people are doing that now. They're waiting for companionship. They're not seeking it. They're just waiting for it to happen.
Yeah,
We're all just like waiting around. We're like waiting for tomorrow. Like what's gonna come tomorrow? But it's like it's right now today. I saw one. I just randomly flipped into the Bible. I can't remember. I think it was in Matthew, but it was like ask and you shall receive and seek. It was like I interpreted it as not just like don't just like pray about stuff. Don't just like wait around and do all the right things and expect God to give you what you want. Like you have to take action too.
yeah,
It's not just like, oh, I'm a good Christian. I'm going to be a nice guy and treat everyone good, and I'm going to pray and read the Bible, and I'm going to get everything I want. It's like, no, you still got to go out and like do the things.
yeah,
It's like I'm not just going to give you a wife. You gotta go out and seek her, and that's hard, and it's going to be challenging, and you're going to have bad relationships. You're going to have to go through like these things to get to where you want to be, and that's like part of it. We need the trials. That's also one of my favorite ones. Is I think it was in James. I just like sometimes I'll do that. You just like flip through and open one when you're like in a bad place, trying to go to bed and you're anxious and worried about like the future and everything. And it was like um, treat like your trials like a blessing because they are because that's what's going to get you to the next steps. That's God. God is doing that to teach you stuff. It's not like a punishment. It's like you have to have those things. It can't just all be like, you know, rainbows and butterflies.
yeah. Like that.
You don't learn from that. We try and do that with kids sometimes and it doesn't work. Like they learn from like, oh, I jumped off this ledge and I broke my leg. That hurts. I'm not going to jump off the ledge. It's like that. You remember that forever. You know, if someone's like, hey, sweetheart, don't jump off the ledge. Don't jump off the ledge. Like they don't learn from that, ever. But we need those hard things. I think that's part of what would be bad about like making our life less and less difficult. That's like one of the challenges. Because if you look like our lives are so easy. Like my life is so easy that I think that's part of the problem. I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is get up in the morning and go to work and then come home and make sure I feed my kids and stuff. And that's it. Got to go to the grocery store to get food. It's readily available.
Yeah.
It's kind of incredible how available it is, and then we all bitch about the price, but it's like everything is so simplified. There's like so little you actually have to do. And I think that's problematic. I think we need the challenge. Like that's why I don't know. Is this better?
Yeah. Yeah, there's no growth without what's the word I'm looking for? Without, like, you don't grow from things being easy.
That's what worries me about kids too. Is I feel like it's like we're trying to get them to not have the challenges of life. You know, we're trying to take that away from them. And it's like they need that. They need to experience that. And we don't let them go like explore the world like me and you did.
That's why participation trophies are bullshit.
Yeah. No, you need to be sad
Yeah.
when you lose. That's part of learning how to win. You get sad. But we don't let them go. We're so protective, you know. That's like our goal is to make sure they don't get hurt. It's not to make sure they're successful, good, well-rounded human being with a lot of experience,
And to teach them how to handle things when things do go sideways, not to freak out or shut down or,
Which even I have a hard time with that now. It's like little things can stack up, and I can tell me and my wife are both totally spun out from these few little things that happened in rapid succession, and then you stop and think about it, say it out loud. Even just the other day it's like we went to one of Matthew's basketball games. The coach wasn't there, and it's kind of like, well, why do you even say you were going to coach if you're not going to show up to the basketball game? So another mom said she would do it. If she wouldn't have, I would have done it. It makes me a little anxious to do that, but she was not doing good. She was not handling the kids right, and you could watch the teams, and you could see that our team, it's a 5-year-old basketball game. You could see that they could have won, if they would have been paying attention and been just a little disciplined and not screwing around the whole time. Which that was frustrating, tiny little thing. And then we get in the car and it's kids are fighting about stupid stuff, and it's just overstimulating, and I look over at my wife and she's all tense, I'm all tense, and it's these two little tiny things have got us in a tizzy. It's come on, what are we doing? It's those are so insignificant. It's why are we so stressed about that? It's we expect to not have any roadblocks or anything, we just expect it to be this easy street. But it's I just can't ever imagine my parents in their time caring about any of that stuff so much, because they probably had more challenges in life to where this was the break. That was the break for them. They're off work,
The thing that bugs me the most, when I start adopting somebody else's crappy behavior, is when I'm if I'm in a situation where you could have done some things to make this easier and you chose not to do anything, and now it's fallen on me because you were lazy or just didn't care, or whatever, and then now you want to be mad at me because I didn't, and then then I kind of lower myself to their behavior, which shouldn't do, because they're you already know their behavior. Shouldn't get upset when they're upset with you. Should not care. I don't know if that's the right way to be, just to not care, but
I think it's to help people grow, which is really hard when someone's blaming you for something that you can see is you can see on paper. It'd be so simple to explain to anyone else. It's no, this is your problem. This is your problem. Don't bring this problem to me and make it my problem. I have my own problems, My dad, that was one of my dad's suggestions when he was talking to me about like managing people. He's like, everyone will come to you. He used some word like a boss had told him, like some silly word, but it was basically like people will always try and give you their problem. And
Yeah.
sometimes they're gonna try and hand you this problem, and you need to be like, no, that's your problem. You deal with your problem, and I'm gonna deal with my problems because I'm the boss and I have all these problems. I'm not taking my problems to you and saying, hey, you deal with this one. You know, I have my problems, you have your problems. Your job is to do your problems. My job is to do my problems. You know, which is kind of how, like, even raising kids and having a wife, that's kind of how it works too. It's like, yeah, I think we're supposed to support them all the time and help them navigate their problems, but I don't think we're supposed to fix their problems for them.
No,
You know,
no, you
and
got
we
to
do
show
that
them
a lot.
you got to show them how to move through the situation.
Yeah.
Like,
And sometimes they won't listen, and then you're like, okay, then deal with your problem on your own.
yeah. Yeah, I hate when I have to do something like that. I come home at the end of the day and I got like an hour to spend with my daughter before she goes to sleep, and I'm dealing with a tired, grumpy kid. I'm just like, sometimes I'll just give in and help out, but a lot of times I'm like, no, like, full sentence, use your words, and we're gonna work through whatever this is.
Yeah,
But like, we're not gonna act like that.
you got to communicate
The
what the problem is. For one, that's like kind of step one. Is like identify problem, and
yeah,
some people have a really hard time doing that. You know, I think me and you are good at identifying the problem, almost to a bad extent, to where you over identify your problems. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And sometimes when you're just sitting there in thought, you're just picking up all the problems in your life, you know. And I think that's probably the cause to some of our anxieties we have is we like overanalyze like in here, you know. And not everyone does that. I think there's pros to that for sure. But I see people that like I have friends that I don't even think they know like what anxiety is. Like
I
they've never even felt it before and you're like, how? Like how have you gone through life without like worrying about all this, you know?
I honestly, since I started going through the New Testament, and I think even if you're not a Christian, you should read the New
For
Testament.
sure.
Even if you think it's all BS, like, you'll read fiction novels all the time.
Yeah,
But you think this one's fake, but you don't want to read it because it's tied to religion. Fine. I think they should read it just so that if you are listening to someone who claims to be a Christian who is misleading people, then you can still have that argument with them. Like, that's not what I remember it saying or whatever. But there are good things in there for people who, even if you don't want to believe in it, to kind of organize your life.
for sure. No, there's so many like perfect lessons in there that
But
are worded so well too and like so like even some of the
hold on, let me finish my thought real quick. But what I was trying to say is, like, since I went through it and I listened to, like, I would listen to the book and then listen to it like two or three more times, and as I went through it, I haven't really had a whole lot of anxiety lately because of the way that it kind of restructured my brain and my thought process of things. And I think when I first started doing this thing with you, as a really bad Christian, my frustration was with the church and my disagreements with them, and I just kind of gave up on that whole thing. And I was like, I'll just study it on my own, and then never really did all that much until I got more interested in it and how it's kind of being tied into the government and stuff now, and people are utilizing it for their own means. Like, it's kind of like using the Lord's name in vain. Like, God wills it, like the new Crusades.
no,
But
they use it as like a weapon to
yeah,
try and control people who identify as Christians.
to get
They
the vote, man.
right. And it really bothers me how easily people fall for it. You know,
Especially,
it's so crazy to me. It's like, how can you not see that they're not? Like, I imagine very few of those dudes in Congress, even though they're smart guys, they probably can't tell you anything about the Bible, you
yeah,
know? And it's like, but they're running they're they're saying like every conservative that runs, it's like, you know, you can see it even locally here. They're like, they run on family values, Christian values. And it's like you pick three words, and Christianity is one of them. That's how high up it is in your like perception of yourself, but you don't know the Bible at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I could see if maybe it was like number 10 and then you don't know the Bible very well. Like that makes sense. But if it's like top 3 of your identity and you don't know it, it's like you're lying. You're
Yeah.
using that to your advantage.
Well, that would have been my argument with Ted Cruz when he talked to Tucker. I would have been like,
Yeah.
well, how do you think Jesus would handle this situation? Do you think he would give them bombs? Be like, yeah, go bomb it. I don't think so. I think he would go over there and talk to people personally. But
I think that's one of the best like ways, the easiest way to like after you've read even just some of it, even just read like one of the gospels, like read Matthew,
yeah,
you know,
I think
and
that's
then
the easiest one. Actually, whenever you Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, I think they're like in order of how in depth they like the
yeah,
story is. Personally, that's what I gathered from it, and I think it's kind of interesting how they did that. It's like first grade, second grade, third grade,
yeah,
and fourth grade. And I don't know if third grade's harder than fourth grade, but one of those two are a little on the same like difficulty level.
well they do
Not,
kind of focus on different things, it's like
it's
some
different.
of the stories are like really in depth in John that maybe weren't so in depth in Matthew.
Yeah,
That I could see how you could say that Matthew is kind of like a good kind of summary of what happened in a really easily digestible way.
yeah,
But I mean, just like read Matthew and then ask yourself every time some situation comes up, what would Jesus do? That corny little bumper sticker, and
yeah,
it's like it works.
yeah.
It really does work because you know what Jesus would do. And it's kind of incredible the way the way he does handle some of those situations without like malice.
I think it's funny how often he kind of tells people to look at themselves when they're acting out against other people. He's like, hold on a second. The whole like
in
remove,
in the simplest way too.
yeah. He who is without sin cast the first stone.
Mm.
Yeah.
And even to his disciples, he's like such a good teacher when they think they're so righteous and perfect, you know.
Yeah. That story that I told on the last episode is so funny though, where he's like, the disciple comes back, or all the disciples come back from healing people, and that lady runs up and she's like, "Hey, please help me. Disciples couldn't help." And he's like so annoyed with them after all those miracles that he did from them. He's like, "It is." He says, "Oh, you faithless and perverse people, how long must I suffer you?" Like
Yeah.
he's just like, ugh.
I picture him doing that a lot. He just like rolls his eyes. He's like, "What are y'all doing to me?
Yeah.
Y'all making this so difficult on me."
No, I lied. He did actually lash out against a tree once too for not bearing fruit. So there was a couple of times where he lashed out, but it was like
Just an
not against.
example. Like, this is what's going to happen to you. You don't bear fruit. We'll go back to the old ways. Have you ever read the Old Testament?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, everyone always was telling me how hard Revelations was to read. And I think it's hard to grasp the like concept of it, but it's like not hard to read. It's like incredible. Like the imagery that like comes up in your head.
Yeah.
Like I would love for some good like artist to see like the rendition of all these things that are described because they're described in like the most incredible detail, dude.
Just
It's
put it
like
into
insane.
AI, dude. Make a
Yeah.
little AI video out of it. Come on.
You can't give the feeling.
I bet they could put pretty good imagery behind it.
Oh, for
Just
sure.
put the text in there and have them.
But
lay it out, but
it's like incredible. The imagery it's so everything is so specific. 'Cause I almost read it like just like it seems like a bad dream, It's like a terrible bad dream because that is kind of how like you know some some dreams I have are where they have some weird specific like things like that, and I
Yeah.
could see how people would read that as like some kind of crazy trip on something
Yeah.
because it does kind of seem like that too.
I don't know. John said he was in the spirit on the Lord's day. I'm misleading people. I shouldn't say that. But like back then, they called spirits drinks,
Yeah,
and most of their drinks were infused with like Brian Murarescu's work. At the time, they didn't really have alcohol. It was infused with stuff, whether it was intentional or not, that was had psychedelic compounds to it.
yeah.
So I don't know if that's what happened. There's no way to say that that is or isn't what happened.
It
It
would
could,
explain some things though.
yeah, you could say it's divine intervention, or you could be so, or not divine intervention, but like direct contact with angels and God.
Yeah,
But I don't want to say that because I don't want to be like I said earlier. I would say that have a conversation with you about that off script, but I don't. Yeah, no, never mind. I don't want to mislead anybody by speaking hypothetically.
I think there is some danger to that. I think we want to explain so bad so many things. And I think
Ideas or thoughts. Yeah, like
some things are just unexplainable that are in there.
yeah,
I think that's part of it is to just go on faith. But my brain does that the whole time I'm reading it. It like runs it through this like logical filter I have in my brain. Like, okay, I see this, yeah, like so and so had a kid when he was 99 years old. I'm reading Genesis, and my logical brain was like, well, maybe 99 years old was really like 40. I don't, and it's like, why do I have to do that though? It's like I have to make it so it like makes sense to me, but it doesn't have to make sense.
I do think there is. I think so. Genesis follows the line of Adam, and I also wonder if because like I said, I don't think that I don't think that the only man that was created by God was Adam, and I do think that there's enough information in Genesis for that to be argued. I don't know if that's actually the case, but I think there's plenty enough information there to be argued of that. I don't know how you feel after you went through it and
I could
after
see
we've
that
talked about
argument.
it.
I can
Like
see it.
on the sixth day when God creates man, it says, and in his image he created them, male and female alike, and he blessed them and told them to be fruitful and multiply. Now, when God creates Adam and Eve, and they're in the garden, and they're taking from the tree of life also. They're eating from the tree of life. How long did they live? Adam also names all the animals as God creates them. Animals created before God creates man on the sixth day. So Adam is told not to eat of the tree of knowledge. And then also, some people argued that Eve wasn't told by God or Adam, but she was because she was arguing with the snake, saying, well, we're not supposed to eat of that or we'll die. It's a
Yeah,
spiritual death, not a physical death. And he's like arguing semantics with her, like, you'll surely not die. God knows that if you eat it, you will be like him, knowing the truth of good and evil. And for them to reproduce is a punishment brought on by God. And when we were talking about last time, I couldn't remember what the word was. It's amnesty between the man and the woman. When you were like, why don't they think about things the same way that we do? Like why is there so much conflict between man and woman? It's because God created amnesty between the man and woman, and she will bruise thy head. It's like that's gonna happen. That's how we were both made to
yeah,
like we think different ways. It was a punishment put on us by God to not think down the same perspective or whatever you
yeah.
want to say. But anyways,
It kind of seems like too when they're talking about like Noah has kids and everyone's having kids, and it's like listing all the males, but it doesn't really talk about like females that much, which they could have been having that too, and they just didn't list it. But then all these dudes are getting wives,
yeah,
and it's like where are they coming from? It almost makes it sound like there's this line, but there's all these other humans that are already out there.
Yeah.
You know,
And even Cain says, like, when God marks him and sends him out, he's like, well, now everybody that sees me is going to know that it's me and kill me.
right?
Like,
Who's everybody?
yeah.
Yeah,
Your own family? You can't get away from them on the whole world?
but yeah, it does make it seem like there's already this big populace of people. And like these people are somehow different
Yeah.
than those people.
And I don't think arguing that is in any way anti-Christian. The only thing that I think that I see whenever I've had that conversation with people and they get annoyed with me, is like, well, I don't even understand why some people get upset, but they're saying like that we aren't from the line of God's people, but everybody apparently comes from the family of Noah after God floods the entire world.
Yeah.
So we're still from that line. Like Noah's from the line of Adam, and then yeah. But as far as people living to be super old from that line, when Adam's taking from the tree of life, like I'm sure that he had like really good DNA or whatever that wasn't, there's not a whole lot of sin at the time other than Cain, killing his brother. Not a whole lot of as much sin. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure as people sin more and things are easier in the world, people don't quite live as long, and as the DNA of Adam is kind of watered down throughout the populace, like people don't quite live as long. And then it's actually another punishment laid on by God, where He says the age of man won't be over 120 or 100 years old, or however. I think it's 120. But yeah, but yeah, yeah. What are you doing today, man? We're almost at an hour.
I have to go and drop off some like raffle ticket money for basketball, and then there's like an awards ceremony like after the season
Yeah.
for basketball, and then nothing. And then we're done. That's what I was asking what y'all were doing today.
I don't know if we're doing other than cleaning the house. The house is a disaster. Like I said, Jamie hasn't been feeling very good, so
But yeah, if y'all would like to come over,
we might. We'll see. I'll
we could
talk to
do that.
Jamie as soon as you leave, so I can talk about you behind your back.
Yeah. How annoying I am.
Yeah, for sure.
I
Like-
interrupt all the time.
I already hung out with him for an hour. I don't really want to go back over there and have to listen to him.
Self-righteous.
I don't think you're self-righteous. I think you're pretty self-critical. But yeah. Did you get anything else from the New Testament? Is that pretty much it?
Sure, I got a lot.
Did it help you rethink, or like the way that you thought about stuff?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I think I've always, like, one of the ones I see that a lot of people have a hard time with is treating everyone well. And for whatever reason, I feel like I've had an easier time than most people with that one. And not being quick to anger. I have a really hard time with, like, people I'm closer with. It's, like, easier for me to treat a stranger with kindness for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It's like it's like, I think part of it might be is I think I know more
Well, when you know more,
about my family. Like I know
Yeah.
they're like I think I understand their train of thought, and I'm like, why did you have this train of thought? You're wrong. But for a stranger, I give them like
the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
When you know people more, I think you have more like higher expectations for people when
Yeah.
you know, unless you know them more and you're like, I don't have any expectations for you.
But do
Which
you
hopefully
really?
you shouldn't be like that, but
Do you really know them more? It's like you know a lot more about them, but it's like we never know what's going on in someone's head.
oh yeah, no.
You have no idea.
I think that's the way God says, trust not in man, but in the Father. You never really know what's going on in somebody's heart and head, but you'll know them by their fruits. So, anyways, let's get out of here.
All right.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for doing this, man.
Yep.
This is basically our show.
Yeah.
I think I have like 6 episodes with you. This will be number 7.